We're here. Zach, we made it to episode 2, dude. We finally did it.
No way. How'd that happen?
Bro, the fact that we actually did a little test recording just before this one, and dude, I've been trying to dig for those files of the other 2 podcasts that we recorded. I knew that I still had them saved because I sent them to some people to get like audio doctored. We had like a ducking issue, so the audio
we were
was
trying to put sound in it.
I really think it was like a bad wire or something, but the audio was so crappy that it couldn't be saved, which sucks because the content in there was some of the best, dude. Like I really like was bearing my soul for the whole world and talked about something I've never talked about before. And then now that episode's not even gonna see the light of day, so we'll have to like touch on it organically at some point. But
yeah, it's gonna come up. This is still weighing on you. Like this is still like your albatross.
yeah. So the reason me and Zach do these podcasts is because we talk almost every single day. It used to be more, but we've both gotten busy and kind of like we're in a flow state of our careers right now. But it's still good to check in, as friends and stuff. And so our conversations would sometimes be an hour long or hours long, and we would go over so much in those calls. I mean, to be honest, like my career, and I'm sure part of Zach's, I don't want to speak for him though, but like my career was built off of those phone calls. Like literally there was like almost nothing that I did to get to where I am today other than be on phone calls with you every day and just work as a team, develop ideas. You know what I'm saying?
That's the real secret about all those expensive coaching programs. It's really just an expensive accountability buddy. Turns out that's the real secret sauce.
Dude, yeah. And also just like your ideas aren't always validated, or at least for me, like I don't really, I'm getting more confidence that I've worked with more bigger creators, and I've worked with writers that I really respect. I start to see that there's validity in all ideas, which is where art really comes from. When you have an idea and you just like are confident that it's something you want to put out there in the world. I was second guessing a lot of things, and by bringing them to you and you really like saying, hey, this is good, this will work, it pushed me to take those things and make them tangible. And without that,
have I ever told you if you have a bad idea?
You do, yeah. You tell me if I have a bad idea. We've gotten better at that lately. Like, I think
true.
Something recently you told me, and I just said, yeah, don't do that. Oh, it was your new opener for your show.
No, I was gonna play some background music in my show, and it was background music from the new Netflix movie Triple R.
Oh yeah.
And you were like, bro, every Indian person thinks only white people know about that movie. Like, do literally anything else.
Yeah, it's like it's like a surface. It's like, hey, I know about your culture on the most surface level possible. And if you want to like get that feeling of like, oh wow, he's catering to us, or he knows us, or he's part of this culture, then that's probably not the way to go. But the one I was referencing is the Knots Off Silk. I think this morning you called me. You were gonna put it in the beginning of your show, and I was like, dude, to be honest, do not do that.
Yeah, you're right, and I'm not gonna do it now. You saved me from myself.
It's actually interesting because I didn't plan to get into this, but whatever. Some of the rules that magicians have that I've like worked really hard in my career to like break down, I'm starting to now kind of affirm and in a way, after breaking the rules, come back to them with more information about who I am and how I want to perform. And as I went to a conference actually as a conference attendee, not even as a performer recently, which was amazing. Like that was a good experience as somebody who performs at a lot of conferences to see, like, you know what I'm saying? Like to like watch how the sausage is made, but like be the one who's catered to and not feel like you have to cater to people to get paid,
Yeah, but it's different because you weren't like, you weren't going to see a show. You were going to see a conference, which you don't even know what it's like to be on either side of the stage there. So that was really giving you a taste of like, all right, I just got to at least do what I got to do for this guy, being me.
Yeah, dude, I don't go to like magic conventions all too often, but I do go to conventions that are related to my business, like meeting planners or, event producers conferences, things like that. Because I feel like I'm with still like-minded people, but like instead of talking about this new card trick move, which is still valuable to me, of course, but instead of talking about that, I get to talk about things like, oh, here's that cool little new piece of tech that makes your show easier, or hey, look at these AI,
you learned what a KPI is.
I know what a KPI. I mean, yeah, I know what a KPI is. But I got to learn what people's unique KPIs are. Like there are KPIs in the hotel industry that I didn't realize were like indicators at all of success for them. Like the number of requests for proposals that a hotel puts out to events around the country. That is like one of their main KPIs. It's not it's not even proposals landed. It's like contracts sent. It's like requests for proposals. That is the I don't know, that's what am I looking for? There's an expression.
That's an indicator. They track that.
Yeah,
that's how you get your success rate. You know, how many times you put them out, then how many of them landed.
Totally. But where I was going with this is that as I'm watching these speakers on the stage, I think about if somebody came out and immediately asked for someone's help or wanted to volunteer. I'm a very social person, and I'm a total like I'll get into the experience. I think not because I don't respect the person on the stage, but just because like I haven't fully formed the world in which they exist in yet. I probably wouldn't put my hand up, and I wouldn't think about it. I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm not putting my hand up. It would just be one of this, like, it just wouldn't happen.
Right.
But after they kind of showed their personality and showed that they're an expert and sort of explained to me what's going to be happening, and then they ask for somebody to come up after they've now proven that there's some validity in why they're on that stage. I think I'd be super pumped to be on there because now that time with that person is valuable, you know?
Exactly. Yeah,
that's one of the things magicians should work on too. All entertainers is like how to make getting on that stage a valuable experience as opposed to a deterring experience. A lot of magicians are thinking that getting volunteers is a negative. It's a hard thing to do. It's something that they feel guilty about trying to do. Whereas if Harry Styles was on the stage and asked you to get on stage with him, like, wouldn't that be
I've been working with a guy named Scott Neary a lot lately, and that was one of the things. Yeah, you know Scott. Scott's amazing. But that's what he worked on me the most because I came from the family industry where you have that, it's already solved. Who wants to volunteer? You have to beat children off the stage with a stick. You know, they all want in. Yeah. But how do you create that Harry Styles moment with a colder audience and a magic show? They're here for a magic show. They're not necessarily here for you. You know, how do you navigate that? And we talked a lot about being real and being genuine so that they know they're coming into a safe space, not because you've like enumerated or anything, but just like, he's like, you just need to get to the point where you say, hey, you'd be perfect for this. Can you help me out for a second? And just ask that with like true love in your heart, and people can't help but respond to that.
Yeah. And that's one of the things about when you work with kids and adults that's different. Like I'm hyper aware of the differences now because I've been doing so much corporate work that when I do go back and do, I recently did, it's great because I wanted to mention this anyway, so this works out. I wanted to...
the Mensa thing, right?
Or Mesa, but yeah, math, engineering, science, and...
Right, Mensa's the nerd thing, yeah.
What is Mensa? Puzzles.
It's like the official... It's like if you have a Mensa certificate, you're officially a genius or something.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, well, I'm the farthest from having one. I don't even know that it exists. They were like, dude, do not, like, every time I get close to discovering what it is, whoever's pulling the puppet strings in the sky is like, dude, turn him around. Do not let him discover this. And
you did Mesa.
Yeah, Mesa. It's math, engineering, science, and achievement because it was supposed to be art. Did you know that? And somebody struck it down.
Steam, it's art.
That's what was funny was like I've been creating STEM shows, to like appeal to these like big events, dude, and they're huge. There's like 600 students and their parents from across the state that come in. Actually, what shocked me was it was just from a single county, so like 600 people from a single county, which must have been it was Charles County in Maryland. They came in to support essentially like a giant science fair, but they have different prompts in these different disciplines, and yeah, like going back into that and there being a lot of kids in the audience, that's one of the things I realized kind of clicked for me. The reason adults don't volunteer in that situation isn't because like they think they're above it. It's just they're giving that experience to the kids. They know that like well, I'm here for them. Like this is for them. Not because it's like, right. Oh, this magician's not capable of entertaining me. It's just when you have kids or when you're with kids, it's like everything you do is catering to giving them that experience. Like
it's like no adult voluntarily goes to Chuck E. Cheese, but I'll take my kids there.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things is like they assume that you are talking to the kids. If you said, hey, I need one of the parents to help me with this, I need somebody who's responsible and also a grown-up, then you probably would have some parents that, are willing to help out. Anyway, the reason I'm mentioning that is because unless you're able to really establish that relationship or that validity for what you do in the beginning, like in an all adult audience, it's just that like people, that's one of the things is that once that first request for volunteers is met with resistance, every time you ask for it, it's going to be met with resistance. You can overcome it, but it's certainly going to be a challenge.
Yeah. It's funny that you're saying that's the rule in Magic was taught to me as do something amazing on stage to prove you're worth paying attention to before you get a volunteer. But I think as I'm discovering and unpacking it, it's more like just do something relatable, or just do something so that they know the rules. They know who you are, what it's going to be like. Are you mysterious? Are you fun? Whatever. As long as they know what they're getting into, then they can kind of like self-select on who wants to consent to interact with you.
That's a clip right there. That's one of the clips I can cut out and post right there.
There you go.
That's one of the things I also, and I'm willing to talk about this because we're all about showing how the sausage is made and stuff. So that's one of the things that I've been really thinking about also is when I produce content, how to make it bite-sized, especially now more than ever, and how to...
The one good idea Gary Vee ever had.
Yeah, I like Gary Vee. I do think he went a little off the rails. Have you ever seen the clip where he talks about how to be truly happy? And you just sit on your bed for 5 minutes every day and imagine everyone you know just being dead.
Holy.
Yeah. That is something he really suggested in a conference. He goes, sit on the edge of your bed and just imagine, really imagine, put yourself there, feel it. Everyone you know dead, loved ones dead, parents dead. So do that for 5 minutes until it feels real. And when that time's up, how could you possibly be sad knowing that all those people are actually alive? You're like, okay, Gary Vee. Stick to yard sale.
Isn't the worst trope in fiction? It was all a dream. So he just wants you to. It was all a dream yourself for 5 minutes a day.
Yeah, dude. He wants you to M. Night Shyamalan twist yourself, bro. But yeah, so the bite-sized content, trying to make sure that when because I'm a verbal processor, so I tend to,
We both are. That's why we talk.
That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
And we actually were on the phone this morning, and I said, Zach. You said that could have been a podcast episode. And I said, great, let's not talk about it anymore. Let's finish that conversation tonight.
Right, we have to finish this conversation at some point.
Dude, and for obviously this is a new podcast, and we literally only have one episode so far, but this already got so much traction from a lot of magicians that I really like and know, and a lot of people who, have either done coaching with me or friends of you. And the fact that just hearing people talk candidly, I realize a lot of people don't have somebody that they talk to as regularly as we do, and yeah. Hearing that some of their thoughts and feelings are occurring for other people is very validating. And I think sometimes validation's all people need to it's like another fill up at the gas tank, Get to the next.
That's why Reddit's so successful. It's more fun to read other people's opinions about the news than actual news.
Dude, the news, man, about perspective. I'll share that after I share this point, which is, so when I talk in a very linear fashion, it's like a marathon. I need to remember to summarize what I say at the end in a nice bite-sized way to communicate my thesis and then my major point so that can be cut out into a clip. And that's something that I think a lot of magicians aren't necessarily skilled at, but also, in general, I don't blame them for not wanting to do the social media game. That may not be an interest of theirs, and that's totally cool too. That is valid. I used to tell people it wasn't valid if you weren't posting on social media and you weren't going to make it and be successful. I think you can be successful without posting on social media, but it certainly won't be as fast and accelerated, and you are going to lose opportunities. Like the one show that I recently did for Caesars Entertainment, I only got because I had somewhat of an Instagram following.
Yep, it's funny. I'm crazy chain of events. So this is what you just got to do in this industry. So I saw a sign that said Easter Festival, and I'm like, I wonder who's in charge of that. So I literally Googled it, found the guy who was in charge of it, sent him a text, be like, hey, who's the entertainment director for this event? And then he was like, it's me, call me. And I'm like, hey, so this is what I do. And he's like, oh, this is not good for this because we're already, the room's too small. But tell you what, let me rent out the yacht club and we'll sell some tickets, put it on Eventbrite. And he just went off and I was like, cool, you have as many ideas as you want. I'm going to let you have these ideas. And now we're just locking it in today. So just crazy, you call one person, one thing leads to another, and then boom, it happens.
You told me that when we were on the phone. I was actually with my girlfriend in PT for her, recovery from her ACL surgery.
Yeah.
I'm in the public restroom in there, so I can take a phone call, but also, do some business. And dude, you were telling me this, and someone was knocking on the door literally every 30 seconds. give somebody a couple of minutes and don't be that person. Like, you knocking more isn't going to make me speed up. And so all I can remember is you telling me that, interrupted by knocking and frantically muting my microphone and be like, just a minute. But one thing I do remember from that is that you literally reached out and they said, from some of the stuff that you had put out there earlier.
Exactly. Yeah. That was the point I was trying to make.
Yeah. He said, you're too big for this,
Yeah. He saw my social media. He's like, God, your suit looks so good. Like, was that on purpose? And I'm like, dude, everything that is on there is on purpose. Like, this is down to the thread count. This is intentional. So he that's social media won't always get you the gig, but it never hurts, It never hurts.
Dude, I've done so many photo shoots and I don't utilize those photos as much. Like somebody like, let me give an example. Like Giancarlo. I'm always curious, like, how often is he doing photo shoots or does he just own his own camera,
I don't know. He's got good photo coming out all the time though, but I don't know.
Always like
There's always an orange in the photos though. It's my favorite thing. It's like always find the orange.
Yeah, I think he's changed that. I think he's on the
Oh no, the end of the orange trip. It's funny. I'm this close to putting a Bill and Lemon in my show. I'm trying as hard as I can to resist, but I mean, it seems like it's becoming a better and better idea every day. So
yeah, I get it, dude. Speaking of things that magicians do that we're kind of against as rule breakers in the world of magic for a long time, and we've carved out a really high standard for the type of magic that we like. It's a blessing and a curse, but I recently watched a video of a magician performing at a nightclub of all places, and that's why I called you this morning to be like, hey, watch this video and call me back. And dude,
yeah, I didn't even wait for you to tell me what you thought of it. I told you what I thought of it, and we agreed.
Yeah, man. Like, I watched a video of a high schooler doing magic in like a homeroom class today, where he clearly like didn't have the patter chops really down. He was starting to get there. Yeah. And then the next video down was this video of this magician performing another trick, completely different trick, but the energy and the vibe was the same as that high school kid. And I'm thinking, if this, as a professional magician, and by the way, that's the thing, is like, he wasn't bad. He was actually above average, way above average. But with how we're trained as magicians to have patter that kind of exists on a one-sided place and isn't really conversational with the person you're performing for, that was the main thing for us, right? Like, you might describe it better. So let me let you take it off, and then I'm like, launch it.
Yeah, my big takeaway was just like, he ran this guy over. Like, I could tell that the person watching wanted to like tell him how cool what he just saw was, and the magician was just like, yeah, I'm glad you think that. So anyway, here's the next part of the trick, and I'm like, whoa, let's acknowledge that. Let's make that let's validate. That's one thing I learned from Scott, is if you want applause, as soon as someone shows you any appreciation, you validate the heck out of that person. You just show them some love. You like, yes, this guy gets it, and boy, that just, everything in the show just builds from there. This same little guy, just one-on-one trick. I mean, it could work in that moment too. Just
here's a fire tip.
I could tell the person wanted more, and he wasn't giving it to him.
Dude, here's a fire tip. You're actually gonna ostracize your audience when someone claps, and you go, "Yeah, one guy," or like, "Thanks for the golf clap," whatever. Like, don't try to make a joke about that. One of my favorite things, and this didn't come from Scott specifically, but this is something, as I worked with Scott, sort of developed out of me. Was like, if someone just claps, even if it's one person, just take that in and just go, right? Yeah. Like, let people know, like, yeah, that is worth clapping for, Don't say like, exactly. Oh, that's louder than the last one, or whatever your joke is. Like, don't put that joke in there, fight that, and acknowledge that person,
No.
But don't address them as an individual, address them as the audience in this specific case, because like, they are the voice of the audience, and you don't want the audience to feel like they are different from that one person. That one person represents that audience.
Okay.
In that one individual case, which I know is the opposite of I normally preach, but like, if you want the audience to feel a way about you and only one person expressed that, I don't want to say properly, but more visibly, take that in as if the entire crowd did that,
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing I learned, is like, leadership on stage is so important. You set the tone, and however you react to anything is, I guess that's how we're all doing. It's being in an audience is being sheeple, but like in a good way.
Yeah, and that's part of the fun of being an experience. Like going to a concert, I wouldn't want to stand in a room alone and chant the lyrics at a band that's playing my favorite song. That does sound dope because that's an experience that doesn't exist. But it's the energy of the whole crowd knowing the words with me, and me being next to some sweaty dude who I've never met before, grabbing him, and we're both chanting. Like that's the fun of it for me,
For me, it was being at the Mario movie. And there were like a bunch of like little 8-year-olds, little 5-year-olds, and like, "Mommy, he's the cat now." And I'm like, I started to cry. I'm like, "Oh my God, this kid gets it." This kid, like, just having that other person enjoying something beside me made me enjoy it more.
Fan service, man. Fan service. That movie was a great example of fan service, which is neither good nor bad,
Yeah, I felt serviced. I was like, I don't care if the critics liked it. That movie was for me.
Yeah, dude. Like, if you play the games, it's cool to see that it is the same thing in a different format. That's the thing when things get moved to movies, is like the format changes. They change something that you just want to see it exist in the world in context.
Right.
That's one of the great things about adapting a video game for film, is just that inclusion of context, including Mario's family in it, right? Including his conversations with his brother. Like that's the beauty of that, is take the small world and build it.
I've had Thanksgiving dinner with an Italian family that was literally one for one, that family. There were no stereotypes. That's 100% accurate.
Dude, my family's like that, man. I've got a loud Italian. I mean, even the kitchen looked the same as my Nana's kitchen. Yeah. So let's get into this video and kind of talk about specifically some examples that are avoidable for magicians or entertainers as a whole. The first one is he starts taking a coin, and do you have a coin near you?
Yeah. No,
okay.
I am.
Well, he starts rolling the coin down his knuckles, and what does he say? He's got this guy's full undivided attention, by the way. It's a one-on-one thing. And the guy's a patron
right, he's
of this
like,
club.
You see that? That's 2 years of my life I spent learning how to do that. And then he does it in the other hand. He's like, what's that? 2 more years of my life learning how to do that. This is 4 years, a college degree wasted right in front of you.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my God.
Like, we're trying so hard to get away from the stereotype, like magicians are virgins, or like we don't keep our women happy or whatever, because as soon as we stop doing that, we can all get paid more, right? Let's agree on that. We're not as creepy to people, like we're not seen, like a lot of you complain about like, hey, come hang out with us. We don't have a lot of money, but it's going to be fun and you'll have a good time and we'll feed you. And hey, maybe exposure. It's like, I don't think that this plays into it on a grand scale, but I think it does. It's like with microaggressions, it is a small paper cut that will, inform the public image over time.
If you don't want it reflected back at you, be at least the one person who's not putting it out in the world.
Right on. So exactly. And by doing that, like when people feel that way about magicians, I don't want them to feel like it's valuable for me just to be out being social and like being around people who are enjoying my craft, like that there's value in that. And I want them to know that people find it valuable, including myself.
Now that line got a laugh though, which I think that's why it's still in his show. He did get a laugh for it.
But there's a tension laugh. When you have someone's full attention and you ask a question and you answer it in an unexpected way, there's tension that's released. It gets a laugh. But I wouldn't say that guy would think it was funny. I also don't think that he's going to ever remember that joke, That's the thing, is you can't feed into the feedback loop. You can't take any feedback, any sound, any reaction, and use that to motivate your creation or reproduction of that trick in the future, Yeah,
and that both got our brains going. It's like, you don't even have to change the script. You just change like the focus. It's just like, you could literally say, this is a college degree worth of practice into this one moment, and I'm doing it just for you. How freaking cool is that? And
right? That feels better. That feels special for me, and even engage them in that, like, how long do you think it took me to learn this, And he'll take a guess, and he'll either be right, which will make him feel good, or if he's wrong, he say, it actually took me 2 years to do this every day, watching TV, when I was driving, 2 years to do this. But what's really cool is I can do it with both hands. That means and they'll go 4 years. 4 years. And so next time somebody sees him rolling a coin on his hand, the guy's not going to think, oh, that guy's lonely, ha ha ha, which he's not going to think that anyway. He's going to see him do it, and he's going to be like, dude, you can do that? That's insane. How I heard that it takes you like 2 years to learn that. I met a guy out at a nightclub who could do that with both his hands. Now he's creating the legend behind him being there. He's creating the value of him performing for this person. You know, it's like I told you this morning, Zach, I'm going to just tell you again, like a great
Yeah, no, dude, I almost stopped my car to do a backflip when you told us. It was like this. I already love doing walk around. This made me want to go out and do walk around like tonight for free, just so I could do this to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you've oversold it. Thank you. The tip basically is
we're creating the legend, Chris. We're creating the legend.
The tip is basically to let them know what this experience is going to give to them in the future. You know, let them know why it's worth watching that specific trick. So, hey, I'm thinking about getting a Guinness Book of World Records record in that book, and I have a lot of different things that I think I can do, and I wanted to go for the fastest hands in the world, but then I was like, well, there's no way that I'd be the fastest person in the world. And I started showing people that, and they say, no, dude, I think you would get it hands down. So I want to show you this today, and that way you can say to all your friends and family when you go home, guess what I saw at a nightclub? I met a dude with the fastest hands in the entire world. And guess what? They're going to ask him about it. He's going to be able to tell them what you did for him, right? And so anyway, I'm not going to get into my routine, but it almost certainly proves like they really do believe it. I've even had some people who are, scientists that work in, I mean, they're computer scientists, so it doesn't really count. But they came up to me and literally were asking me how I got to that level of being that fast, like in full belief that I could do that,
Yep, and it's just a gimmick. But that's great. I mean, he bought the fiction, he bought the legend, and that's a win right there.
Yeah, and by the way, like if I mean, from what it looks like I'm doing, like I'm literally doing exactly what I'm saying I'm doing. It's indiscernible from that. Sure, it's using a gimmick, but if someone could really do what I'm reenacting, pretending to do, they would for sure have the fastest hands in the world. And it looks like I'm doing exactly that. Yeah.
Must be magic.
Yeah, it must be. Anyway, the next thing that sort of made me cringe a little bit was we could say the trick, right? It was like a coin through handkerchief.
Yeah, it was a coin through handkerchief trick. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because he did something we were like, it was this close to being a work of genius. He was like, most people, little kids think there's a hole in the handkerchief.
And they'll call out and say, there's a hole, but I want to show you that there's no hole.
Right. And we know that, like, anytime you can say out loud what the audience is thinking, they're like, oh, this guy gets us. Wow, and it's super easy, but, like, it endears you so much to the audience when you do that.
It does. That's why my speaking coach right now, I'm working with David Coleman, who's the dating doctor. You may even say that the movie Hitch by Will Smith was based on this man. And I was a huge fan of his, and I'm just blessed and honored that he took me in as his student. And that's one of the things that we worked on first was, as somebody who goes to a conference to speak, like my experience comes from being a person who can go to 50 conferences in a year. Most people go to 1, 2, maybe 3 conferences, 4 conferences in a year. I go to like 50 a year. So I'm getting to go to these sessions and taking the information. I know a lot about what's going on, but people don't believe that when they see my age. So I have to walk out, and literally one of the first things out of my mouth is, hey, I'm a straight shooter. I'm going to be honest with you guys today. And I just ask that you be honest with me. How many of you saw me walk up on this stage and just thought, oh crap, how old is this guy? Okay. That's, I'm not going to give you the rest of it, but that's one of the things that I do as soon as I get out on that stage. It just helps people understand that I already know what's going through their mind, and that builds trust with them. But he specifically said, a lot of, kids will shout out and say, there's a hole, there's a hole, there's a hole. And the guy sitting in front of him, he said,
that I was thinking that too. That's so crazy.
He goes, but I'm mature enough. I'm not a kid. I don't call it out.
Right.
Which is, that was funny. That was funny. And he was being real with him. And the magician just goes, yeah, we all think like kids sometimes. But anyway, literally that. He rolled over. But anyway, I think by now, if somebody knows this video, I mean, we've just given it away. But we're not hating on the magician. In fact, the magician we respect.
It's only got like 300 views on Instagram, so yeah. Maybe.
But this is just magicians, a lot of us as a whole. I'm guilty of some of this stuff too, or I
100%.
Really hard to fix it. But the fact that he rolled over that person, and didn't like take an opportunity to like,
Yeah, if an audience member is having enough fun to like contribute to the script, like, oh my God, you've almost won. Like, don't trip at the finish line. That
moment of you interacting with them genuinely is going to be better for you, for your set, and for your rapport than anything that you do next. Take that moment, and that's like they just gave you a free pass, dude, to make them fall in love with you, and he didn't take it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, people want to be able to say things. They want to be able to talk. They want to be able to have a conversation. You know, like a lot of my clients are great friends because I did strolling magic for them. And after, you know, during a moment of a trick, somebody said something and we got in a whole conversation about that. You know, this guy, TJ Soon, actually, like we've been emailing each other all the time and sending each other riddles. We literally just got, it was a moment like that I acknowledged. He was like, oh, it's like that riddle with the 3 wives. When I was doing a 3-card money, and I was like,
okay.
Oh, I never heard of that one. I was like, wait. I was like, pause. Can you, I love riddles. Can you lay it on me? You know?
100%.
The bad example because I think that does feel fabricated in that moment, sort of. You know, it seems like I am, like.
I mean, when you're open to it, though, and like when you're thinking about it, the opportunities present themselves more because you're more likely to notice them and jump on them, even if you have to like massage them a little bit to make it happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, if an audience member gets you 95% of the way there, then you can close that last 5% gap and then you're golden. But
you remember my example of like an alternate line he could have used or something he could have said to like ingratiate that spectator. Do you remember what I said? It probably wasn't like the most appropriate thing, as my sense of humor is a little abrasive sometimes, you know?
You were picking up on the childlike component of it, I think. I remember something about, you know, it's fun to be a kid, you know, it's why Five Nights at Freddy's is so popular. I don't know. It was in that space, but
like, or like, you know, he said like, yeah, I'm just mature enough not to call it out. I was like, dude, I don't know that went away when when you become an adult, bro. You know, I still just yell whatever's on my mind, you know?
Yeah, that's closer to it. Something like that.
And also like some people will, dude, have you ever been a NASCAR man? Like they'll yell out who they hate right in front of the dude or wrestling, you know, any of that stuff. So, yeah. And then the next thing was he had a line where he says, puts the coin under their handkerchief. He goes, you know what happens when I put the coin under their handkerchief? And the volunteer again says something that's sort of funny in a way. To us, it's expected, but he says, what, it turns into a bird or something? And he just goes, nah, I don't have that kind of budget. He's again putting himself below. It's funny to be self-deprecating, and I know a lot of you guys think it's funny to be self-deprecating. A lot of times it's really not, and it's also not actually funny at all. Like, a lot of the time we are starting from like a below point of view. We need to, what's the word I'm looking for? A below status, I guess. We need to elevate ourselves, you know? That doesn't mean be a cocky asshole, but like elevate yourself to be enjoyable to be around, and also don't like crap on yourself in front of somebody you're trying to endear.
Yeah, you have to approach self-deprecation with very, Nick DeFont can do it, Tosh Point oh can do it. Like they know exactly what they're doing theatrically to pull it off, and it totally works.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you just, you know, but if you do it badly, you just come across as like, you know, that's where the weirdo magician stereotype comes from, and you live in that space.
Like an example of being funny. Let me give you an example of not being funny with self-deprecation, and an example of being funny, you know?
Okay, hit me with it.
Okay. What's a stereotypical magician self-deprecation joke? Like,
what's the difference between a magician and a large pizza?
What is it?
A magician, pizza can feed a family of 4.
That's a great example. Yeah. Oh, I don't have the budget for this. Or,
okay.
Oh, I didn't go to college. I became a magician, you know? Like those type of self-deprecating
things. This is 5 years of my life I'll never get back.
Yeah, this trick is called being a lonely guy.
Yeah.
That one's actually not terrible, that last one. I don't know why I find that one funnier than the others, but anyway. But a great self-deprecating joke is like, I'm not, you know, I didn't have to do a lot of math courses in college. I got my degree in taking too much Adderall. You know, like that's
structured like an actual joke.
And there's realism to that, right? Like it's funny because it might be true, you know, and depending on your personality, whatever, right? Like, and by the way, I literally just came up with that on the spot, so have some grace with me. But like, that is a funny, in my mind, a funny thing to say. It may not be funny for all people, but it's specific to me. It seems like it's coming from a place of truth, and it definitely catches people off guard. you know? When we as magicians say things that don't come from a place of truth, especially if that truth that we're portraying is harmful to our image and like in like an irredeemable way of like just being lonely, being poor. Like I don't know. I don't know why, but the shitting on the craft is what makes it like painful for me to watch, you know?
Yeah, I don't think no audience has ever agreed with and this is the one mandatory card trick in the show. They're like, what? We love card tricks. We love magic. Like, they don't hate card tricks the way we do. So
that's true.
It's never gotten a good laugh.
Yeah. That's why I put a card trick in my show eventually, was because like I purposely had no card tricks in my show. And then people would like talk to me about magicians that had card tricks in their show. And I was like, that's it. I'm putting at least one in there. I guess that's why they get
When I was 20, I swore to myself that I would never put a handkerchief in my show.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, I'm so old school. Like we can do better than that. And now like one of the best things I'm doing in my show has a silk handkerchief. Yeah. Turns out it's a good prop. Who knew?
It's allowed to be an art form, It is allowed to be an art form. But anyway, like I think part of the reason it bothers me as well is that it feels like it's following a formula that wasn't made by you. Like you think that's the role of a magician, is to poop on yourself and to be self-deprecating. It's not. And it comes from this theory of, if we, we're going to show off and try to fool people, so let's go ahead and, put ourselves below the person so that it doesn't feel as bad when we fool them, and they feel bad for us, and so they have to be proud when we do it. No, just be somebody who's inspiring to them. That like the mystery of being able to do that is so cool, and the fact that this dude who I respect is doing things that I can't explain, that's what creates the intrigue towards it. That's what makes you seem cool, not like selling yourself short and then doing something moderately cool.
Yeah, I've in developing my new adult show lately, I've been finding over and over and over again that just realism, genuineness, just genuine heartfelt connection with people. That's, they'll watch anything once they love you. I'd listen to Bing Crosby read the phone book, Yeah. It's that same kind of thing. It's just like, hey, we're here. It might not work. Let's find out. Let's I feel like I'm sounding like Scott Neary with everything I say, but like it works. So yeah, that's why I paid him to be a coach, so I'm allowed to copy him. That's the rule, right?
Yeah, I get exhausted from this rant, because this is something that I feel like I'm talking about a lot lately with magicians. Is I don't like magic tricks that feel like magic tricks. I don't like patter that feels like patter. I want things that feel like conversation or feel like an actual.
Yeah, we're going to be even more vague about this one, but we saw a Fool Us act that everyone was raving about, and we were just like, it was good, but like we've got notes.
Yeah, not even notes. It's just like, and why was that interesting?
Right. Yeah.
How does that benefit me? And that's one of the great things with trolling magic that I love, is let people. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but let people know how it's going to benefit them, or at least the story they can tell. Right. Give them something that they can regale tales of.
100%.
And then coming across a virgin who never graduated from college that flushed 9 years down his drain, be able to pull a coin through a handkerchief, isn't really quite the legend I want to tell my friends.
I don't know. There's that one guy on TikTok who does ass magic. Sure. I'm almost positive he's trying to be, but it's a choice. He's like double, triple down on that.
Oh, and I know, with the glasses and the hat. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my friends who knows I'm a magician sends me one of his TikToks at least like twice a week, and I always respond with, I hate this man with a passion. But you know what? He's resonating with people, so it's not for me, but it's for other people, and I'm glad it exists. And you know what? They're emailing me, so it's fine. It's connecting. Dude,
you know what I just realized?
Tell me.
The background that I have and the background that I'm seeing that are picture in pictures in also matches the new pair of shoes I just got. Look at this. Coincidence. Look, the blue.
This is the only reason this is a video podcast, is so you can show me your new shoes.
I got these. So what happened is, I wanted some new shoes to play airsoft in. I base my outfit colors around the colors that I use as for my weapon, like my airsoft weapon. So I just got like a purple oil spill gun. So I got purple shoes and a purple beanie, and I like these, and I've got another pair here I just got.
I'm no expert, but like, do you actually play in those shoes?
Not these ones, no.
No, okay.
But here, you know what? They're right over here. Let me go get to the ones that I do play.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious.
Okay. These are my new ones, right? They're purple. I was looking for versions that looked like this, but these ones are red, so they didn't match with my purple outfit. I feel like such a diva right now.
Shouldn't you be playing in like camouflage or something? Like, what? Are you gonna be easier to spot if you're in bright fluorescent purple?
Dude, that's the thing, man. You're so unable to shoot at me that it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. You're putting that short boy privilege to work.
So I play Speedsoft, which is an indoor sports version of it. It's like kind of saying like, shouldn't you on the basketball field wear like dull colors so you don't stand out so they don't see you coming? It's like we're all hyper aware that there's 5 people on each team, and we all know that there's positions they play: snake, Dorito, back, like, home. We know essentially where people are, and like wearing camouflage is going to help you, especially because it's usually in indoor arenas. So like the best thing you could wear is probably black.
Yeah.
Black or gray, But no, it doesn't really matter. And so I ordered these shoes, but I didn't know if I was going to get them because it was on Poshmark, which is, I guess, like a bidding system. And I never ordered anything from there before, so I didn't know how it worked. And I went ahead and I just bid on a bunch of shoes that were like, oh, these are interesting. Yeah, I'll bid way under price. Then like whatever one I get first, I'll just use those ones to play airsoft. And then I didn't check my email because I put it in like my spam email.
Mm-hmm.
And all these just showed up in the mail throughout the week. I was just like, oh, I won all the bids and just spent $600 on new shoes all of a sudden. So
first world problems.
I'm not even upset. I'm not even gonna send them back because I do collect these. I'm trying to over time get every color and style that they've ever made. Eventually, and so this gets me one step closer to my goal. So I forcefully and unaccidentally and accidentally paid more all at one time, but I don't really care.
All right, since you got to brag about your hobbies, I get to brag. I'm currently sitting at number 134 in the world on Magic the Gathering Arena. Nice. So I might make a run for like the top 10 this season, and that's like yeah, I am the stereotypical nerd magician because I play some Magic the Gathering, but you know what? I love that game.
I play MTG too. I just don't play on the app, which is really how everybody plays nowadays, unfortunately.
Oh, trust me, you're going to get a lot more done in your life if you don't. Like, delete Fortnite, delete Magic the Gathering, and then you can take over the world. Those are the only 2 things holding us back.
How many people do you think are playing the app? Like, how many monthly users?
Yeah, it's a solid 6-7 million easily.
And 137?
134.
134? Jeez, dude.
Yeah, I've won like the last 15 games I've played. It's like, I don't know, it's so stressful. It's like I'm eventually gonna lose, but I keep not losing, and I'm like, you get that weird imposter, and it's like I'm not allowed to be this good. I haven't worked hard enough, but like apparently I have. I don't know. I've only been playing card games since I was like 7.
Yeah, you used to play I remember you used to play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh, which kind of surprised me for some reason.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh was my gateway. Well, first it was Pokemon, but then that got banned in elementary school, and the universe tried to set me on the right track. But then I learned how to play Yu-Gi-Oh in middle school, and then played that all through college, and then Magic the Gathering became available, and you just kind of gradually worked up the nerd level.
But what's the magician with the Irish name that does the card trick magic? Oh gosh, I should know.
Oh yeah, Michael O'Brien. Yeah, I bought his Pokemon wildcard set. Yeah, that's actually. I wish I was better at card tricks because that trick is actually really dope. But the problem with the Pokemon wild card is that on playing cards, up and down doesn't matter. You can produce a card upside down or right side up, it looks the same. But if you produce a Pokemon card upside down, the picture's in the wrong place. And so that makes a lot of the traditional wild card moves completely fall apart. And unfortunately, the moves he provided are not up to my standards of what I would show an audience. So the prop is currently gathering dust, but I will never sell it just because it is really cool as a prop.
Like, that is cool.
It is cool to have on your bookshelf.
Dude, yeah,
I think Eric Tate has a custom set made in Magic the Gathering cards, and I may drop them just to own them.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, Eric Tate definitely plays MTG. You could take one look at him and know. He also gives me Warhammer 40K vibe.
Ooh, don't say that.
What, is that bad?
I just there's a hierarchy. You know how we think about mimes? That's what we think about Warhammer players.
Oh, I didn't know magicians look down on mimes.
That's like the one anti-self dude who's like, well, you may be sitting here watching, but at least you think at least he's not a mime. I've heard that hack line before somewhere.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give it a tip. Okay, here's a really good tip on this. Reframing your spectators' interests into your script. There's kind of a sneaky way to do it. This isn't gonna be everybody's style, but it is one of my styles. Okay. I'm gonna share that with you. Okay, so this is what it will be. You just talked about Magic the Gathering and card games, right?
Right. Authentic moment we just had.
What's the newest set that's coming out in Magic the Gathering? Or like what's something everyone's thinking about right now?
Yeah, tomorrow the new set March of Machine drops.
That's tomorrow?
That's tomorrow. I dropped $50 on it in pre-sale.
I was talking to a lot of people recently, some people who play Magic the Gathering that I know for sure are going to be interested in getting that new set and playing the release pack. But you know what's one thing that I think that all those guys wish for? Actually, forget that. You know what's one thing I think that everybody right now wishes for?
I don't know. What are people wishing for?
It doesn't matter, but that can be a lead into a trick. You know what I mean? So
I was trying to authentically react to the question. I was hoping you were going to give me like one more line to like.
Oh, dude! Everybody wishes for to live free of disease and have health and happiness for the entirety of their life. I don't know. I didn't really plan on where I was going with that, but
okay.
If you can have like a moment that goes off script because of your conversation with the audience member, there are better ways to get on topic than to say, anyway, back to the trick.
Yeah. Try and find the segue.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, but you can actually, in that conference, I actually went to a session that talked about this. And they talked about adult interest levels and how it's shorter than a goldfish. I think it's 8 seconds. A goldfish's attention span is 9 seconds. The average human's attention span to focus on one thing right now is 8 seconds. So if you can pull their attention into something, like without putting up a wall or a transition slide. So what I mean by that is saying, anyway, let's go over here. That doesn't keep their attention. That checks them out because it needs to feel fluid. So one example would that be, we're talking about Magic the Gathering, and I could say, you know something that I bet a lot of Magic the Gathering players are wishing for right now? Actually, you know what, dude? Forget that. You know something that I think that everybody's wishing for right now? And then, I go into this thing about wishing for money, right? They think that there's a recession, and the truth is there's actually not. It's a matter of perspective. We're up 20% this year, and then so to only have an increase of 3% really means that on paper there's a recession, but we're not going to really experience that, right?
I want you to do the line that you did for me this morning. It was like, you got me. I wished for money, and then you responded with like,
dude. So what's something? Okay, Magic the Gathering cards, dude. Or let's just do it for real. We'll do the real life exercise, okay? Because I feel like I kind of cheated you guys by saying I had this tech deck and not actually employing it. I'll actually employ it. We're talking about Magic the Gathering. With the new pack that's coming out, Magic the Gathering cards are so freaking expensive, dude. And that's why the app is beneficial, because it costs a fraction of the price of the real cards, I imagine.
Yeah,
what's something that you think the number one person in the world, Magic the Gathering player or not, what is the number one thing that you think they wish for right now?
Money?
Do you want to know what the number one answer is?
Yeah, actually.
It's love. No, It's not. No, it's money. You got it right. It's money. So, I'm trying to get as much engagement in that as possible. I'm trying to keep their attention with me for as long as I can by having that be a real conversation. And it's not something where my jokes are going to be one-sided. It requires their response, and it requires them it shows that I'm present in the conversation that they're having. I don't really know a lot about Magic the Gathering. I used to play. I just know that it's expensive. And why do I know that? Because every hobby is more expensive now. Doesn't matter what hobby somebody has, you can assume it's more expensive, and you'll gain some things in your back pocket as you talk to people and more about hobbies. You will gain some information about it, so you can be topical. One of the reasons I love going to so many conferences is I can talk about the development of new AI tools, and I could also talk now I can talk to hoteliers about them having labor problems and what that looks like for them, because childcare centers, there's 40,000 childcare centers that closed down that never reopened during the pandemic. That's something they're talking about right now. And I can collect that and use that to have conversations and find ways to segue that audience that works in that industry into what my next trick is going to be in a close-up situation.
Yeah, you blew my mind when you told me about the childcare thing. Because I'm like, that's why I'm not having kids, is I can't afford daycare right now.
Well, that's one of the big
Not the
conversations.
only reason, that's one of them.
One of the big conversations for people who run hotels is think about providing their staff with either on-site childcare or giving them some sort of stipend for them to go and receive childcare so that they can come in and actually work, because they don't have a choice to work remote, because that's cleaning staff, that's, suppliers.
I want you to do the other line that you heard at the conference with, like, the guy was getting heckled, and then you just, like, completely reframe the heckle with, like, I don't know what I said that.
No, that wasn't from the conference. Dude, that is just a.
I know it wasn't a topic. It was just that story blew my mind. I want to hear it again.
Okay, I'm gonna share this. I do have an agreement with my coach that, I don't share our conversations to the public, but I can share this because I think this is something that will just help a lot of people.
Okay.
So, a great line when you're being heckled, if it feels like this person is truly trying to screw with you, there's almost nothing that works better than saying, I don't know what I said or did that made you feel like you can treat me that way, but I'm sorry. Just wait. They'll either reply with something, but the longer you wait, the more the audience, I think, is going to be on your side for that. You want to just let that person understand that they are treating you poorly. You're a person too. And so, one more time, it's, hey, I'm sorry. I don't know what I said or did that made you feel like you could treat me that way.
Yeah, like, I get chills just hearing that. Like, I was like, if somebody said that to me, I would feel like I was in trouble.
I've got so much comfort on stage now that, like, I don't mind to just be straight up a whole person. And so I don't need to have, like, a tactful and theatrical out for heckles. I don't get heckled a lot anyway.
If your feelings are hurt, your feelings are allowed to be hurt.
Yeah. If someone's being disruptive, it's okay to say, like, hey, man, that, I'm not gonna lie, that kind of threw me off my game. That was hurtful to me. And that gives you more tact and power and more understanding with the audience than telling them they're ruining the experience, or, hey, we're all trying to have fun here and you're making it difficult for us. Like, I wouldn't even make it about the experience or about the show. I would make it about what they're doing as a person, because they know they're being disruptive to the experience. It's the experience that they think they're not respecting. What they may not understand is that what they're actually doing is not being respectful to you as a person.
That's heavy.
I like to let that one sit, because that is something that I had never processed and thought about before. Was just, that leaves you vulnerable. And what we often do when we're being heckled is try to take the power back. You actually show your comfort and your tact by remaining vulnerable, despite the person being on the offense.
Some Jesus level stuff right there. That's what turn the other cheek actually means, I think.
Yeah. Another interesting fact I learned is that a lot of people say that in the Bible that it says, thou shalt not kill. Kind of mistranslated. It's thou shalt not murder. There were two words in Hebrew, just like we have in English 2 words for kill. And that was one of the funny things with that a lot of people pushed back on that when this first was like a big topic of conversation. They were like, what do you mean there's 2 words for kill? I'm like, bro, murder and kill. Those are 2 words in our language. Like, it's very possible that there were 2 words. I don't know how to speak Hebrew, so I'm not going to attempt to say those words and butcher them, but you can look them up. They're 2 very distinct words, and in the King James version, it got translated with the other alternative, which was kill. Because I'm sure when they were going over it, thou shalt not kill, they were probably like, yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. If English was good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for me.
Yeah. Although I think he spoke some sort of, mix of
He
Aramaic
spoke,
and Arabic.
a second temple Aramaic. Yes, we know.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us about your shows this weekend, Zach. That's something that I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about.
So I had a great show and I had a rough show. Did a bridal shower. It's crazy. The reason I put so much work in my adult show lately is because I've been getting a lot more requests to do that show. And then something about having that show in your back pocket, you're more happy to sell it. And then when it rains, it pours. So that show went really well. Everyone had a lot of really good time. It was a real intimate show. It was kind of like in a little sectioned off living room at this yacht club. And so it just turned into like a guy in your living room show, but like in the best way.
How many people do you think were there?
I didn't even break out my sound system for it. I just totally focused on connecting with people, being real in that space. And everyone loved it. Wonderful, wonderful show. Then I got to a first birthday party later that night. And that was in a weird spot. She was like, it's mainly for the adults, but there's going to be some kids there. But like, I really want you to impress my friends. So bring out your A-game adult stuff. And I ran into that problem where like I had probably 80% of the people, they were tuned in, they were ready to have the experience. But there were like 20% of the people who were just, in the background and just not in the zone for it. And I did something you've given me the advice to do, is just, walk up to the people who are being disruptive and really say, hey, maybe you didn't hear me the first time. We need to start the show now. Please take your seats. And I was able to get about 10% more of them, but those last 10% they held out. And I guess I buckled. I just said, all right, we're going to go and we're going to do it with you all talking in the background. And I think it was a worse show because of it. With the never quite achieved that proper flow state. I think that those people just not here for it in the background on my mind. I think that weighed on me. But I got a 5-star review from the client. She said it was amazing. So it's like I said, we have that self-doubt. We get on our own heads about these things. It turns out everyone had a really good time. The people who were watching it, they loved it. I took some new risks, tried some new stuff, and I did a custom trick they requested, and it worked perfectly. So
nice.
I got it all on film, so I'll review the footage and see if it's what I think it was.
Nice. I finally got a GoPro that I can record all my shows on. That's one of the things, is I feel like I have so many great moments in my shows, especially because it is so conversational and each one is very different. And there are a lot of hilarious things that happen. I'm always walking off stage feeling like, as soon as I go backstage and I like get, I just go, I should have been recording. And now I finally can be. I have to build that discipline to do it every time.
100%.
Dude, something that you said that is interesting to me, that kind of makes me think, is you can relieve a lot of that stress by having that conversation with your client and like managing the expectations. But don't do it in a way that you're selling yourself short. Just say like, hey, so I'm getting ready to start. I'm noticing a lot of your guests are kind of like, they're having fun, just, chit-chatting and being social. I don't want to stop that for them because I'm noticing that, and that's a really beautiful thing. I am going to perform for the crowd that I have over here, but I want to make sure that's okay with you. I don't want to start if, you don't have everybody, but I think this will be fun regardless. And they'll be like, yeah, sure. And then now you have that permission, which removes your stress from looking bad in front of the client. That's not the ideal situation. That's what I would consider as almost a last resort. But it does certainly help take that off your shoulders. The other thing that you can do is just say that candidly to the audience. I had an event like that recently. I have a client with PricewaterhouseCoopers. They're an IT company, IT consulting company, and they hire me a lot. And this client, he started to now hire me for like kind of like what I would call odd jobs. So, instead of me going and kicking off the conference for, his company, now I'm doing, his new housewarming party. He bought this absurdly beautiful house. And if you're watching this, Cal, what's going on, man? You would agree it's an absurdly huge house. And I am purposely not marketing myself as a children's entertainer. I noticed I had a good crowd of the parents, and then I had a ton of kids. Like, there were somehow way more kids than there were adults there, which like I was trying to do the math and I wasn't able to make sense of it. The only thing I can think of was like the new kids that were there, the kids that lived there had to have invited their friends from school, and like the parents did like a drop and go type of thing. So like, hey, we're gonna have our friends over, you can have your friends over, and maybe it was a way for them to get comfortable in the new home. I'm only speculating. This is the type of thing I should have asked the client. But anyway, had way more kids and a good amount of the parents, but I noticed a lot of the parents were just wanting to look around the house. The good thing was this house was so massive that the parents, I didn't even know where a lot of them were if they weren't in that giant room where I was doing the show. And so I went up to the client and I said very much the same thing. I said, hey, I'm going to do some strolling magic for people who are kind of having some drinks and moseying around later on. I think it'd be good for me to just give the kids some attention right now so they can be entertained, be focused, and they can have a good experience. They said, cool. And I did that. I gave the permission. I took the microphone and I said, hey guys, I would love to perform for all of you. I think the parents are going to enjoy it just as much as the kids, but I don't want you to feel obligated to stay here. I'm going to kind of relinquish some of this control and give it back to you. If you want a few minutes to just explore the house and do whatever, that's great. We're going to be here for about 45 minutes to an hour. I'll be here with the kids, and then I'm going to come over there and really blow your mind. I'm going to do some kid stuff for them, but I'll come back and do the heavy-hitting stuff for you guys, so make sure you find me. And I could tell I didn't lose any respect with the audience. I could tell that the adults were like, he's acknowledging that he's got stuff that's better than what he's going to do for the kids, for us, but also he's going to like really focus this on them right now. And that gives me the freedom to give me some of my time back. And I that was the first time I had ever done that, and I wanted to reflect on that with you.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that. I'm gonna think about that. It's gonna be another tool in my back pocket when these situations come up again. I like that.
But I still am reflecting on it. I don't know if that was the best decision. It felt okay, but I think I usually am operating from this place of insecurity where, like, if I'm doing a kid's show, the parents have to be watching because I want to make sure they know how good I am and all this stuff, that I am capable of performing for them. I think that I'm at a point in my career where if I'm doing a kids event, or an event that's going to have kids, I should say, like I feel okay and secure in my position in that. And I feel I can candidly talk to the parents about why I'm there and what I'm going to be, what they can be expecting.
Yeah, I think they've invited the Chris Michael experience to their show. Then they know you're not just like the birthday clown. Like, no, shout out to like the birthday clowns. Like, we respect game, respects game. But like, I got now. Dude, at least you're not a mime, right?
I got a call this morning from a guy who is paying me to. I almost kind of gave him like I'm not doing the birthday party like price.
Right.
Like. He called me and was like, hey, I'm doing something for my 2-year-old son. And I was like, hey, listen, to be honest, I probably don't have availability. I'll look at my calendar just to see, and I ended up having something like a 2-hour time slot open. And I was just like, tell me about what you're doing. What do you want to accomplish? And I was thinking in my head, who can I send to this, and claim a referral fee. And I just sort of like shot at a price and I was like, yeah, I'll do it for, this amount of thousands of dollars. And he goes, all right, cool. Send me the paperwork. And I was like, huh?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Huh? I was like, dang. And I think part of me realized, like, okay, yeah. This is where I'm going with this.
Okay.
Part of me realized that he had expected something big. He was reaching out to do something of that size and magnitude. He did have the thousands of dollars to spend on that. But what really threw me off at the end, because immediately, like, my perspective of him sort of changed in that moment where I'm like, okay, I now understand the type of client he is, right? Like, he'll pay whatever to do anything. And I was letting him know, hey, I am coming from another event. I normally get there an hour and a half early for setup to make sure everything goes perfectly. I'm not going to be able to do that, but if you can clear that space for me while I set up the show, I can really knock everyone's socks off when they come back in that room. And he's like, we'll try to make that work, but we do have a clown who's going to be there first. And I was like, either that clown way undersold himself or this dude is just like, I got very confused all of a sudden.
You get there and it's Bello the clown.
I'm not sure, like, how did that happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a death. If, like, someone calls a magician, of a decent size and is like, come do my child's party, they're not going to also be the type of guy who's looking into having a clown. Like, I'm just completely, I don't know. Weird.
Yeah, we're going to need follow-up when you go do it. Like, maybe he got a celebrity clown. I don't know, man.
it's not as much that confuses me. It's like, usually if you hear that there's going to be a clown, you're immediately like, yeah, this isn't a good fit probably for me. But then somehow it also was. I'm just like he literally mentioned to me that he was going to do it at the MGM and decided that he was going to do it at his home, which is like 5 minutes from the MGM. And I'm like,
okay,
I got to call this clown and be like, hey man, you should make sure that when you send that contract, you send those fees. You know what I mean?
Hey, that's rule 101, charge what you're worth and not what the client can pay,
Yeah. And
never be disappointed when you get there.
That's right. And I mentioned this on another video, but the Pygmalion effect. There is good reason for you to charge more, even if you're not necessarily altering the experience. Now, I think that you should upgrade the experience and work harder for those clients. But the Pygmalion effect is a psychological effect that occurs when there's more pressure on you to perform. You do perform better. Mm-hmm. When there is a higher expectation of you, you are going to provide that client better service, more timeliness, more attention, better customization, and ultimately a better show. And so, like right now, a great example of that is if you paid me $200 to go clean your car, I would do, I would do that job. I would detail your car to the best of my ability, or so I think. But if you offered me $10,000 to clean your car, I'm going to do things to that car that I would have, I'm going to clean that thing better than I thought possible. It's going to be better than when you bought it.
Yeah, the car's getting a tongue bath for that price.
Yeah, and it's not because I offer the service of cleaning cars and I'm going to charge you $10,000 just because you can afford it. It's like, if you have that money to spend, I can make that worth it to you.
Yeah.
You might have some new wheels on that car and a spoiler all of a sudden, but...
Yeah, it changes both people's... I'm kind of in the same spot. I just quoted my double my normal fee for a wedding just because she reached out with a somewhat complicated problem. It's a Chinese family and a Russian family, and they're both getting married to each other. So they need a show that has almost no English in it because none of them speak any. They all speak like a first grade level English.
Yeah.
Which is how they ended up finding me. But it's just like, cool. I'm basically just going to do my regular show, but with put a little more time and attention into it to tweak it a little bit. But I'm like, my regular show can work for this. But I recognized that she had a bigger problem. So I just made it clear that this is a bigger problem, but I can live up to this problem. I care about this problem. I care about your event. And in order to make that happen, this is the number it takes. And she was like, oh, 100%. So now she believes 100% I can deliver it. And I've lit a fire under my butt to deliver it.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome, man. And
I'm living in the Pygmalion zone.
That makes it exciting too. Like, you want to chase dreams that scare you. Like, that's actually one of the reasons why I think I'm getting burnt out faster right now. I'm actually finding I'm getting burnt out on a semi like a tri-weekly basis. Like every third week, I feel like I'm totally burnt out because every week I'm working towards something that terrifies me, and I'm taking on so many big projects and so many high pressure projects because I do want to challenge myself. And I'm realizing that it's not the work that's tiring me, it's the emotional toll in general that I'm carrying. And that's something I have to be aware of. Like, there is a price that now I need to bake into that just because I know I can't take on this amount of projects. Like, it's not a matter of, yes, I can do all these things at once. It's a matter of like, I can do all these things at once and then continue to feel great about myself instead of crashing and burning every third week because I have to freak out about what I'm supposed to be doing tomorrow,
Yeah, there is a certain pleasure in a routine show that you can do in your sleep, and I haven't had one of those in like 2 months because weird stuff keeps falling in my lap. But I've got one this weekend. It's just the same old, and I'm like, I don't even have to put any mental energy towards it, and I cannot wait. It's gonna be it's like it's a work vacation almost.
I was going to talk about one of the projects I'm working on. I don't necessarily... Okay, I'm not going to talk about that. But what I will talk about instead is... I had it. You talked about the Pygmalion effect. Right before that, what were you talking about? The wedding, right? Chinese-Russian wedding, solving that problem for them. It had to do with that. I know that when they talked to you about it, by the way, they talked to you about...
She laughed because I could pronounce her husband's name better than she could because I took 2 years of Mandarin, so I could get the tones and everything. And she was like, I'm not going to say that's what sold her, but it definitely didn't hurt.
One thing we talked about with that is that you focused on the singular issue in that proposal. Like
Yes,
you didn't focus on
100%. I
anything
hit
else.
her
Can you talk
one
about that a little bit?
problem as hard as I could.
Yeah. Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so in the past I've done sales letters like, I'm good, therefore I can make you feel good, I can make your guests feel good. I've done this before. This is old hat, this is routine, this is normal for me. You can trust me to do it because I've done it before. In this case, it was getting to be a little bit more honest that this is a newer challenge for me, but I recognize the thing that is most important to you. I listened to you, I heard you, and this issue of you have two families that don't speak the language, they need something they can enjoy together. That is the only thing that mattered to her. As long as that problem was solved, she didn't care if it was magic. I could get up there and do a hula hoop for an hour if that achieved the goal that she set out for. And so by drilling in on that and letting her know, I've noticed your problem, I've got a plan for your problem, this is what it will take to make your problem go away, that at its core, that's what truly sold her. The fact that I got her husband's name right, cool, bonus. That proves I was telling the truth. But as long as she believes me, then what I am selling to her is genuine relief. I'm not selling her a magic show. I'm selling her a magic show flavored Advil that is going to make all of her stress and problems melt away so she can actually enjoy her day. And that is what did it.
I remember what I was going to say now, by the way. That was awesome too, dude. I think there was some really nuggets in what you just shared there. I hope people can take that to heart and realize how important that is. I was listening to a podcast today with Big Jay Oakerson, the comedian, who is so much sweeter than you would think if you listen to his comedy. Like that, I guess he plays a character on stage, right? And so he was talking about how he received this call from a girl, like a voicemail. This was back in the day, so he had a voicemail, and he could hear a guy's voice talking, and was like, "Oh, that was so great. Let's do that again sometime." Pretty much implying that they had some sort of physical relationship while he was not there at the home in which they lived together in. And he like addressed that to her, but like he was like, I was panicking, like so worried, and like I couldn't get in touch with her fast enough. And when I finally got in touch, I was relieved because I found out like, oh, it was just some dude who was there to like help her get a PlayStation for me for Christmas. Like she didn't want to ruin the surprise, whatever. And then come to find out, that's not at all what happened. That was just, she was cheating on him with that guy. He's like, yeah, okay. Like, okay, yeah. How could I have fallen for it? I had this realization today while I was driving. When I first got my car, I paid about $9,500, so nearly 10 grand, and there were some fees, so it came out to be actually like over 10 grand in stuff for my car, like spoiler, front diffuser, a rear diffuser, front splitter, new wheels. Like I have like 10 grand of stuff for this car to like make it my dream car that I still don't have to this day, and we're almost coming up on 2.5 years later. And he originally was like, yeah, man, these Somali pirates, man, are holding up these ships, and like, yeah, we can't get this stuff from Vorstaner, and like I kept following up every month, and he's like, yeah, man, just all the politics around this stuff, and I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I think this is a big Jay Oakerson moment. I think I've been like, oh yeah, those damn pirates, man, and now I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just not gonna get that stuff.
Yeah, at some point they do just block your number and stop answering your phone calls.
It's a guy that but it is a guy that I have a good relationship with, who has done other services for me, and he still to this day details my car. I'm going to like text him after this and be like, dude, can we like go and take a ship and personally start executing these pirates, or can I get a refund?
Yeah, nothing motivates people to get something done like refund. I've requested refunds, and then suddenly my thing arrives the next day.
Yeah, interesting. I just like I was so excited about these upgrades to the car at the time, and now that I've had this car for 2 years, it's like, okay, I guess I'm cool if it just looks this way normally. It's fine, like at this point, just give me my money back. It'd be nice to have an extra 10 grand lying around, Dude, I'm literally processing this pretty much for the first time and just realizing like, damn, I really let this dude just have layaway plan on my money for 2.5 years.
I'm not gonna say who, but somebody's sitting on some of my money that they owe me too. So I get it. You send him a text and I'll send him a text. We'll see who
It's
gets
not
their money
me, is
back
it?
first. What?
It's not me, is it?
No,
Okay.
we never exchange money ever, and that's why we're still friends.
I do have some, yeah. Anyway, I think I wouldn't say no. You know, we've trusted each other so much that if you know, I feel like that's something we would do for each other though. I don't think that would hurt our friendship too much.
No, but we have to wait till we like need it. Like it's gonna be a real emergency, then we've got each other's backs. But like you've offered me a job at your company before, and I'm like, no, because I still want to be friends with you. I don't know how Mr. Beast does it. He has friends who are in his episodes. Is like, does he pay them? I don't know how that works, and I don't want to know because it'll ruin the magic.
A lot of people tell me I look like Chris from Mr. Beast, and so I was actually somewhere yesterday in Forest Hill, Maryland, and this guy goes, "Oh my gosh, you know who you look like?" And I go, I let him have it. I said, "No, who?" And he goes, "Chris from Mr. Beast." And I go, "Oh well, not anymore."
Dude, I get you know when I'm like in full costume, people look, "Are you Mr. Beast?" Or they say, like, you know, you really look like Mr. Beast all the time, and I'm like, two things. One, I used to say I'm his cousin. Now I just say yes, I am, and then hand them a $100 bill because then give them a story below their life, and I don't care.
Dude, it's so hard to explain to people who really believe, like, no, you're that guy. He wears a purple suit. You wear a purple suit.
Yeah, it's fun. The other thing, I'm like, you remember how like in the '90s you could get Steve from Blue's Clues to come to your house for your birthday, or you could get like the Ninja
What?
Turtles to come to your house for your birthday?
Oh, but it
I
wouldn't be
want to
the
be
real
like
Steve, would
just
it?
open like a small thing for like $10,000. A guy who looks pretty much like Mr. Beast will come to your house, tell
And
your
give.
kid he's Mr. Beast, and then give him whatever the most expensive present you were going to give them anyway was.
Oh, dude, that's sick, dude. That's actually not a bad idea. Oh my
I
god.
know. Apparently, Mr. Beast is cool with imitators. Like he's like, yeah, nobody's gonna do it better than me, even if they like really fake it. So I'm not even worried.
The problem with him
So I
doing
could
a lot of
probably
this
get away
stuff
with it.
in good faith is that he gets a lot of these people who are like use him for scams now. Like I'm sure you've seen that thing where it's like, "Hey, fill out this form, you know, for a chance for my next giveaway, you know, win $1 million."
Yeah, it's the new Bill Gates scam from the '90s. Like Mr. Beast
Oh,
has eclipsed Bill Gates as
you
the
know,
new
actually,
quintessential rich guy.
actually worked for a group that was part of the there's a word for it. People who are entrusted with billionaires' monies to spend it while they're on the planet. Like,
Yeah,
do
like
you know what I'm
a
talking about?
trustee.
Is that what it is though?
Yeah, it's a blind trust. It's like where you have to put your money when you become president.
Ah, interesting. Well,
It's like
yeah. So
Jimmy Carter had to give away his peanut farm when he became president.
I worked for an organization that was responsible for spending Bill Gates' money. Which you want to talk about sending out an easy proposal is like, oh, you just have to spend like as much of this money as you can before he leaves the planet. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll come do that.
I got a call from a school just this morning, and he's like, "Hey, we need to zero out a budget for the end of the school year. Can you do a show for this much?" And I'm like, "Yes, I can."
Yeah. It's cool though, but just so you know, they're not like just spending his money on whatever. It's people.
Yeah,
This organization gets paid to make sure they're allocating it towards his mission or vision for the planet. So I
right.
think this one had to do with, you know, working with places to expand their human rights, you know, in like third world countries or whatever. Um, why I was brought in to perform is still a question to me, but I got to do it for all their employees to boost their morale so they can have more fun spending his money.
Nice. My guy literally told me, "I want this to have zero educational content. I want this to be a waste of their time, but like in the most fun way." And I'm like, "Dude, I've got you."
Yeah. That's what I wish
He
would have
like,
happened for
I'm
the.
even sugarcoat. He said something even dumber, and then he was like, "Ooh, I can't say that as an educator, but like, you know what I mean, right?" It was so funny.
That's what I was hoping for with these STEM shows. Like I like put together like a STEM show for the Mesa shows that I've been doing, and I'm like,
Yeah, you were panicking.
I was because I didn't know. Like that's the thing is sometimes I don't know how much, especially with academia. Like how much does my show, or okay, how much is there relying on me educating them with my show? Because I
Right.
can entertain them and reinforce information, but I don't like to educate and teach information. Like unless I'm doing a keynote, I'm not really interested in teaching. It's scary. It's a scary feeling to be like, is that enough content for you? You know?
Yeah, and I think if you were like in an actual elementary school and it was the reading show, then yeah, you might have gotten in trouble for what you did. But for the script you ended up coming with, I think that was the right amount of, hey, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a scientist, but here's what I know that still will help you in life. And here we're going to have some fun along the way. I think that
Yeah.
was perfect for a conference. Because
Yeah.
I told you, like, don't go out here and explain the principles of physics because you don't know shit and you're going to get it wrong. And I'm embarrassed hearing you try to come up with these scripts. They're so.
Yeah. That's the same thing I had when I talked with a good friend Brian of mine about trying to talk about like marketing, for instance. Like I
Mhm.
do, I am in a way a CMO of my company, and I do things like the DCA group, and I talk to CMOs every week. In fact, I actually have a meeting Wednesday with a CMO of a big tech company trying to help them find more creative ways to market. Um, but even with all that experience that I have, with my limited years in the business, there is something to be said about like, I don't totally feel comfortable going on stage to a group full of people who've been marketing their entire lives and telling them that I think I can help them market, especially with, a valid point with how many mistakes I've made in a short period of time. And just like,
Mhm.
I'm still feeling it out and still figuring it out, um, and I can instead get out there and talk about things that are relevant to me and my profession. I can talk about ways to control attention because as an illusionist and a magician, that is what I do is control people's attention. That might be beneficial and interesting to them. But I'm not going to talk about the change in CPMs this year for them and why why their click-through rates are going down. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, I think this almost brings it full circle that we talked about in the Mario movie. They want fan service. They
Yeah,
want to see things that they know in a different context and be fun. Like that thing you did for the the beef association
that was
or the
fun.
meat association. When you just did that video about what their conferences must be like and it was just some guy saying beef 100 times, that brought the room down because that was something they know filtered through the way you see it and they loved it. That was like your little mini Mario movie moment.
Yeah, and actually, one of my favorite speakers from the conference I attended recently was a guy who just talked about AI and whether it's not good or bad. He just
Hmm.
his main point was it's either way good or way creepy, and that was literally the main takeaway from his thing. And everyone loved it, and he was one of the people who was so popular during the conference. Everyone wanted to talk to him, pick his brain, and like from a content perspective, like I don't really know what I learned. I was inspired by it. I think I have a little
Yeah,
bit
you
more
don't
of a
have any
grasp.
action items.
Yeah, I don't have any action items. I know like how ChatGPT works a little bit better. And I know that AI is kind of like racist and biased because all it does is take in human information from the beginning of time, which has been racist and biased.
Mm, that gets snaps. That's true.
That's interesting, right? To think about it. Like if you ask it to generate a prompt about, give me a, tell me a story about an employee that was passed over for a raise and then gets frustrated. It's like the CEO invited her to his office. And it's like, oop, uh
Yep. There it is.
there it is. Yeah. And so ChatGPT has actually dedicated some resources and a lot of time to making sure that those biases are not represented in the output from ChatGPT, which is cool.
I saw a meme not even a meme, it was just a screenshot. It says, as a joke, describe a fart as a work of classical music. And then the standard boilerplate of, oh, I don't do crass things. I've got special filters on. I'm sorry, I can't answer this question. And it says, give me 10 slurs for Italian people. And then it's just a full list of ungodly things. And you're like, well, that filter didn't work.
Well, itemizing a list of things that, may have historical value to some extent,
Yeah, I mean, but ChatGPT could do both. It's creepy. It is a cool program.
mm, Chat GQ or whatever. Just make it different every time you say it. Yeah, so Chat GC,
Chat
so
G
Chat
string.
RS, just make it different every time. Very cool. Yeah, AI is definitely not as developed as people think it is right now. Like it's got a lot of attention on it, so people think it's developing, and it is developing fast. I went to a
Yeah.
startup meeting with a bunch of tech companies, and like I would say of the 15 companies that were there, I think 12 of them were AI based, which is, I mean, that says something, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I have a subscription to an AI software that I bought like years ago and I've used like 3 times, but it generates like ad copy for you. And it
Yeah, dude.
literally is just plug and play, but sometimes that's all you need is just a blank thing to plug some stuff into just to get it done.
I mean, that's a great way to generate articles for your SEO, by the way. That's like something you should be using it for sure,
I'd rather die.
Yeah. All right. I think we're gonna stop it here. This was, dude. This was awesome. I've got to run and take care of some things. You've got a ton of crap to do, but I'd love to get you again when you're in your studio. So we'll record another one. We'll put it out.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll be around maybe Sunday or something. We'll hook it up.
Yeah.
I'll put up my lighting.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for joining us for That's What We Said. Please leave in the comment below what you took away from this, or the one thing that we said that probably we didn't think was interesting but ended up really changing your perspective about something. Or you can leave a comment and just telling us that we don't know what the hell we're talking about. We welcome that too, because then we can do some more research and get better. Thanks for listening to us talk for this nearly hour and 25 minutes, and we'll catch you in the next one. See you later.
Peace.